African Americans typically favor Democrats in political races. Since 1998, an average of 9 out of 10 black voters have pulled the lever for the Democratic candidate in presidential as well as congressional elections. But Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s niece says traditional black values fall more in line with those of the Republican Party. Now, that may be a surprise to many of us, but joining us now to explain that is a good friend, Dr. Alveda King.
Hi, Mike. How are you?
Alveda, it's great to see you. Thank you.
It's so good to be here. Yeah.
By the way, don't you just love Paula Deen, your fellow Georgian?
I tell you, I really do. My children and I watch her on television. Thanksgiving is coming. And I was listening about Smithfield Farms and the unions and everybody, and Paula teaming up with them to give away the dinners and the turkeys, And, James Brown's family, I Feel Good singer, his children are doing the same thing, and Hosea Williams and Hosea Feed the Hungry. And so you can see corporations and unions and people getting together at the holidays doing wonderful things like that. So she's a great cook, but a humanitarian as well.
She really is, and I thank her and Smithfield Foods for all that they are doing. All right, let's talk about what would startle a lot of people, that you think that while there has been a history, particularly over the last 20 years, of African Americans voting almost exclusively for Democrats, that naturally there should be more of a lean toward the conservative. Why is that?
Well, this is true, and our votes should follow our values. And I know a lot of people wanted to be a part of the milestone and to vote for the first brown-skinned president of America, and you can understand that. But we should remember our values, and that's life and liberty and justice for everyone. My uncle said that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. And so we've got to remember our values. That's very important.
One of those values that has been very clear through a lot of polling is that when marriage is on the ballot in any state, and 31 out of 31 states where the people have voted, they have voted to just maintain the traditional definition of marriage. But interestingly, African Americans, by almost 75%, a far greater majority than, let's say, white voters or any other voters, support traditional marriage. Why don't we ever hear that?
Well, the reason we don't hear it, I think the media kind of wants to not let you know that African Americans understand and agree with science and sociology that the best way to raise human beings, we're one race, human, no matter what our skin color is outside, we're the human race. And the best way to raise little human beings is in a family with one dad and one mother raising those children. We really understand that, and those are our values.
And another issue that is somewhat of a contrast, because if you see people like Reverend Jesse Jackson and others who are very, either to the left of center in terms of the Democratic Party, the issue of the sanctity of life, I've experienced that overwhelmingly African Americans individually support the idea of the dignity and worth of every human being, and it makes sense that they would. And yet that's not a position that the Democratic Party holds. So again, help me understand why that is not being talked about more.
Well, my friends, African Americans have been targeted by a movement to make us extinct. You need to see this film, MAFA, M-A-A-F-A, and the number 21, MAFA 21. And it shows that the elitist has nothing to do with skin color, but elitist, one group of people saying we're better than another group. And it just so happens that African Americans are at the top of that list. But Mike, you may not make it because you don't have the blue eyes and the blonde hair. They might be after you as well.
Well, I don't have blue eyes or blonde hair. I would settle for any color hair right now, just a little bit more than I got. It would be great.
My goodness.
What is the message that you think, if Republicans are going to reach out to African Americans, what message do they need to be clear about?
Well, my good friend Catherine Davis is here with me. Hey, Catherine. And she says that we're often called Uncle Toms when we vote Republican, but Uncle Tom is a hero. So if that book is out there on the bookshelves, let's send that book to all the people who hate it when African Americans vote Republican, because Uncle Tom worked with the abolitionists to set the slaves free. And today, African Americans who vote for life or for marriage, we're working with the community for the sanctity of life and marriage to help set people free from oppression. And so this is our job, this is our duty, this is our responsibility. And I don't want to hear about anybody over the Thanksgiving table throwing turkey legs because I'm a Democrat and you're a Republican. That's bad. Yeah. God's not a Democrat or a Republican, and we should vote our values. We should let our votes follow our values.
Alveda, I want to ask you about your uncle, who I remember when I was a seminary student 30-something years ago. One of my studies was listening to his sermons. And I've always believed that if people would listen to what he said, they would understand this was an even more remarkable man than perhaps history could ever portray. The courage, the convictions that he had. In one particular sermon, the drum major instinct that I think may be the greatest sermon he ever preached. Your memories of him as a little girl growing up, tell me what is the memory that sticks out in your mind the most of your uncle, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.?
All of my uncle's sermons, and I got to sit in church and hear him preach. He loved the Lord, he loved his family, he loved us, and the beloved community. His message that all human beings should be part of a community. And those values are with me now. I learned them at my dad's knee, Reverend A.D. King, my granddad's knee, and in the pulpit when Martin Luther King Jr. was preaching all of that. And so I remember the morals and the values and the things that I believe today.
Alveda, I thank you so very much. Your uncle has had a phenomenal influence on our country, our world. We're all better for it. And I'm better for having known you and being a friend, and I thank you very much for being here today.
Thank you, Mike.
Dr. Alveda King, everybody.